Hi folks, Jesse Ivy back with you again today, and today we are going to talk to you about how you can get your real estate documents notarized for free. So if you use, warranty deeds or contracts or whatever, and you want them notarized, I'm going to tell you how you can get these notarized for free, and that's coming up right after this. Welcome back, folks. So in today's video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk to you about how to get real estate documents notarized for free. So if you know what I'm talking about, it's like, like getting a contract notarized or getting a real estate deed notarized. Now there's a difference between getting something notarized and getting something recorded. For example, let's say we're talking about a deed. If I go to the county and I get the deed recorded in my name because I just bought the land from somebody, if I get the deed recorded with the seller and they change it over to my name, that's official and it goes into the county records, okay? If you get something notarized, what that does is that gives constructive notice to everybody in the world that basically you have an interest either in this property or this deed or this contract, but that you have an interest. So it gives constructive notice to everyone in the world that basically you have an interest in this property. So if you don't notarize something, it basically just stays hidden and it is not a public record. Now there's nothing wrong with not getting something notarized, but if you want to get something notarized, and I'll like one time, for example, I bought this house, okay? And I signed the contract with the guy. He didn't want it recorded with the county because he still had a mortgage on the property. So what I did was I told him, well, I feel a little nervous, I'm going to give you this money, $15,000 down, and I feel a little nervous about not at least getting it recorded at the county. And he said, well, I don't want it recorded because then they could call my loan due. So instead what I did then is I said, okay, well, how about if we just get it notarized? So that's what we did. We got the document, the contract notarized, and then everything was fine. And when the time came for me to act on the contract and actually get a new loan and cash him out, I already had a notarized document. So one of the ways that you can get something like that notarized, like a deed or like if you're writing up a deed and you're selling it to somebody and you want to get it notarized because that's required in order to actually record it with the county. So let's just use that as an example. Let's say I have 10 acres in Nevada and I'm going to sell it, okay? And I sold it to somebody, okay? And I'm writing up the deed in their name and I'm going to record it with the county, but it's required by law that I get it notarized first. And they want it notarized, so when you go get something notarized, you have to show them your ID, you have to prove that you are, in fact, like in my case, I'm Jesse Ivy. So I have to prove that to show my driver's license or a passport or something like that. But a lot of times people, what they do is they end up, they want to get something notarized, and my choices are like this. Well, I could go to Postal Connections, or Kinko's or someplace like that. Well, those places are fine, and sometimes people even just have a notary service where the notary charges a fee for me to go in and have this document signed by them, acknowledged, stamped, and from there on, then it'll be notarized where I can go to the county and I can get the deed recorded. But a lot of times there's fees, and those fees can start at, maybe $15, $20. They can go all the way up to $50, depending on, let's say I had multiple documents that I want to notarize. Maybe this document's $20, this one's $25 or whatever. So how do you get something notarized for free? Well, if you're like me, it took me a while to figure that out, believe it or not. over the course of a few years when I first got into real estate, I was getting everything, notarized, at the postal connections or from a local notary I knew or somebody like that. Well, for me, I use U.S. Bank, and I've been going there for years. U.S. Bank, in my opinion, is a pretty good bank. And so what I do is I just go in, I sit in the seat in the front, and I wait for them to call me. They'll call me, and they'll say, well, what can we do for you today, Mr. Ivey? And I'll say, well, what I have here is I have a deed, and I need to get it notarized. And because I have an account there, in fact, I have multiple accounts at U.S. Bank, because I have an account there, they actually notarize my deed for free. If I have an addendum of property value, a form along with that, if I have a deed and an addendum of property value and I bring that in, they notarize both of those documents for free. Why do they do that? Because I have a bank account there. If I had a contract and I wanted to go in there and have the contract signed in front of them, and that's the thing. When you get something notarized, you do not pre-sign it before you walk into the front door. You want to wait and get in front of the people, the notary at U.S. Bank or wherever you go. At any bank has a notary. Most banks do, or a credit union. But you just go in there and you don't sign it before you walk in the front door. You go in with your documents, your deed or your contract or whatever, and you bring it in there and you sign it usually in front of them. In front of the notary, and you bring your driver's license or your passport so that it identifies that is you, and so that they know it. Because you might, from time to time, you might know the notary, but then again, you might not. So you have to bring your ID with you to prove your identity. So if you're trying to figure out a way to save money by getting something notarized for free, I would suggest go into your credit union, go into your bank, and using these resources for free so you don't have to pay anything. And we'll be back again very soon with another video for you to watch. And this is Jesse signing off from the Owner Terms Land Network.